Okay people, today I'm here with my very good friend Tariq. Now me and Tariq were actually neighbours and now we meet and we're both high school teachers, and today what I want to discuss is revision and time. And one of the things is, we're both teachers, being a teacher now for the last 4 years going into my 5th year, I think one thing that's very apparent is students really struggle with revision now. Revision has become a big issue. I wouldn't say it's an issue just now, it's a global issue. Even at my time, I didn't know how to revise. Do I revise with the music on? Do I revise with the movie on? Is revision kind of boring, to be honest, at times. How do you really make yourself want to revise? Because revision is key to success. I mean, you can't run a marathon unless you train. I don't believe in going into an exam without doing revision. And today, my very good friend has released a book, and I want to just talk to him a bit about revision and time, and hopefully it can give you a better insight to passing your exams, because I would trade any kind of money so I could pass my exams and just find a few methods on revision. Because in school, the teachers teach you how to, they teach you the pedagogy, how to learn the subject, but I've never met a high school teacher who actually taught me to revise, and I think it's a big issue. So hopefully I'm going to get Tariq now to speak about revision and time, and he has wrote a magnificent book about this. So yeah.
Okay, first of all, Junaid, thanks for having me.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, so before we start, I'm Junaid Senior. I don't want to kind of tell you how much older I am than Junaid, but we actually used to be neighbours, nearly 20 years ago, and he used to come round to my house. We were quite good, very good family friends. He used to spend a lot of time with my grandmother and my family. Okay, so Junaid, the topic is about kind of exam revision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I must admit, when I was a kid, I didn't have a clue about revising, and this is a true story. When I was 13, 14, yeah, I used to spend about 4 or 5 hours in the library reading, and I thought I'd done really well. Well, in reality, I didn't. I just wasted my time because I didn't actually learn anything. I mean, can you relate to that, Junaid?
Absolutely. It's just gone in and gone out.
So, in essence, I think if you can master revision techniques, it's the equivalent of like getting a big boulder and then trying to push it with your hands. That's what the approach which I took when I was younger. So all the hours which I spent was just trying to basically push a big boulder. But if you could get a lever and then leverage the length of the lever, it will kind of magnify the effort to push the lever. And essentially that's what revision is. It's about kind of knowing the strategies to leverage your time for maximum efficiency. So you basically minimum input to do maximum output. So it's about kind of knowing what the processes are, and I'll share some of these with you. So so Junaid, have you taught revision as a teacher? Have you taught revision techniques?
Like I said, I think revision is one thing that we just tell the kids just read. But I think reading, there's only so much that you can cement, because what you want to do is you want to get that knowledge, you want to cement that knowledge in your brain.
Questions I always ask my students is, why do they need to master revision techniques? So, Junaid, why do you think?
Well, I think if you master revision techniques, you're going to be in a much better place when you come to sit your exams. Not only that, it's transferable skills. If you learn how to revise now, come all the way up until your education ends, you're going to be in a good situation. And then if you become a teacher like us two, that's going to really benefit our students.
Okay, so with some useful points there. Basically, one of the reasons why I think you guys need to master revision techniques is because revision really is like a subject in itself, which, I mean, teachers, we have such busy schedules, and if you're a student yourself, that you don't have much time. So that's why I think you have to really set aside the time each week and be dedicated to your revision. So part of it is it's a new subject. When you have a clear vision of the goal which you want to achieve, you then have like a clear pathway to then reverse engineer the steps needed to achieve the goal. So for example, if you wanted to get from, say, Leeds to London, you got in your car and you thought, I'll just drive anywhere hoping to get to London. What do you think of the chances of success? It's going to be kind of minimal, isn't it? However, if you got into your car, typed in the exact postcode of where you want to go, following your sat-nav, the chances of you getting there is going to be a lot higher. And that's what goals are basically like. And when you aim for something, if you have clarity, you're more likely to succeed because you know the exact steps which you need to follow. Now, I just want to kind of share something with you.
Yeah, of course.
When I was revising for the exams, for my GCSE exams, I have to be honest, it got nearly over 20 years ago now. I was just spending a lot of time reading my notes, and I didn't really perform that brilliantly if I'd followed like a structure. So, to cut a long story short, I developed a system where you can follow, and it's basically for maybe really useful for essay-based exams like English, history, sociology, these type of subjects. So in essence, I'll give you the steps what you need to do. Step 1, get a topic list of the subjects which will come up on your exam. So then you can identify what you need to revise. Step 2, get a series of past papers, and then what you need to do is look at the kind of past papers and compare the questions, compare the themes, and what you'll probably find is that you'll find there's a continuity of themes in there. Step 3, basically practice it under exam conditions, and then what that will do is it will then flag up what you think, oh man, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. So then so when you do your reading, then you can then go and research and make notes specifically on the topics of which you need to learn about. So then reading is then seen as a way to reverse engineer the knowledge which you need to attain. So any of you guys, I know Junaid's a big gamer, it's like taking a sniper approach, Call of Duty style. So rather than going kind of blazing, you're taking your gun and you're snipering the exact pieces of information which you needed. Number 1, you're learning exactly what you need to do, and number 2, more importantly, you're saving time, because rather than trying to read everything which is really not necessary, you're honing in on exactly what it is that you need to learn. What do you think about Junaid?
Yeah, no, it reminds me of like finding a needle in a haystack or using the snipping tool on Google. You really need to know exactly what you're looking for, and if you can cut out a lot of the stuff and just focus on what you need to know, that would be massive.
And I mean, I think education has changed a lot over the last 20 odd years. I mean, you've got the internet now. Now, you've got advantages and disadvantages to this, but one thing I want to say, to be mindful of is that when you have information overload, it can be kind of overwhelming and confusing for a lot of learners. I mean, how do you find do your learners find sometimes, Junaid, that if they have so much information to choose from, it can be a bit overwhelming for students?
Absolutely. I mean, in science, we know as biology, chemistry and physics, learn all of it is so difficult. Not only that, even looking for usually is the keyword used in the right place, especially in your 6 markers, and really capitalizing on using your bullet points with the keywords.
Okay, so that's really good, Junaid. So I'm not a science teacher, so Junaid is really well placed to give kind of help and guidance on science exams. But this is when it comes to kind of reading, this is where you really need to use your teachers, communicate with them, ask them what specific books and literature you should read from, because there's tons and tons of stuff on Google, but you don't want to get the wrong information. So this is where please ask your teachers what books should you read. So when you are identifying the gaps in knowledge, you're enhancing it with the right books.
Absolutely, so important, because how many times have I set homework and my students have brought down Key Stage 5 work because they've just typed in Google and bought that, and the last thing I want to see is Golgi apparatus, lysosomes in a Key Stage 3 lesson. So it just shows you that honing down and really finding the literature you need will make the difference.
Yeah, and it's really
Save time.
It's really important because you make sure that you have the right information to hand, because it's like your education is basically like building a building. Everything is following it in stages. So if you get the kind of foundations right, then it kind of builds on top of that.
Absolutely.
So going back to the step-by-step guide, for some of the points we were talking about. So basically, once you've then read the information and you've made notes, so there's a number of ways you can make notes depending on what your learning style is and what you find beneficial to you. You can make a spider diagram, you can write, some people like to write large amounts of information, some people write bullet points. With learning styles, that's really what you find useful for yourself. There's lots of different styles. I personally, what I did was I wrote out sentences, and then to dissect it further, to make it smaller, I would do bullet points, and then from there I would write keywords. So that would kind of help me remember. So basically, once you've kind of done your reading and you're confident that you're better placed to kind of do the exam again in time conditions, but you need to follow a new procedure. So let's say, for example, you've got 1 hour exam. Give yourself 5 minutes planning time, and then you would have, say, 45 minutes to do the exam, and then leave the last 5 minutes or so at the end to check. But what you have to do this time is, from your practice of when you wrote the exam, you can write a model exam first, and then let's start again. So you've got, let's say for example you've got model exam. So if this was, say, like a model essay, dissect each paragraph into keywords, yeah, and then memorize those keywords, and that's your essay plan. Yeah. So when you come to doing the practice exam, write down your essay plan, which is your keywords, and then when you're answering the question, from each keyword you should be able to write a couple of sentences. Now, some of you may be asking, how can I write so much from one keyword? But what happens is, because you've gone through the process of kind of writing your notes into bullet points, into keywords, your mind, it's like a domino effect. You'll be really surprised how much from one keyword you can write a sentence. That sentence will then trigger the next thought in your mind. So basically, when you're going through that process, you'll find that you'll be able to kind of tick off the list as you're going along.
So it's a bit like developing a chain reaction.
Yeah, I like that idea.
One thing leads to another, that leads to another, a bit like a snowball effect. And that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at how you can minimize revision into one little thing and have a maximum output. So how one keyword can lead you to writing 2-3 paragraphs of works of writing. And this is what we're looking at. This is why revision is the thing. If you maximize your time when you revise, that will free up more time to plan, to do so many other things as well. Not only
very good question, Junaid. In brief, I talk about this in my book. You have to have an environment which is conducive to revision. So in other words, an environment which helps you to revise. Myself personally, I work in a quiet environment where I've got clear space.
That's exactly the same as me. But when I first started revision, I had this bad thing where I didn't want to revise. So instead, I watched something I liked. So I could watch a Lord of the Rings movie and thought that was good and revise at the same time. But I just thought that after years and being a teacher now, it's not a good idea. I'd rather revise when it's nice and quiet.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Definitely.
That's a good question, Junaid. Now, everyone is different, but generally speaking, people work best for short bursts. So, for example, if you study, say, for 20, 25 minutes, 5 or 10 minute break, or you could do 45 minutes of work and then take 10-minute break, and you'll find your brain will be a lot more effective. But it's one of the things I think is important, as well as consistency. Like going to a gym, if you start early with revision, especially if you're doing your A-levels, because A-levels is a massive jump from
Oh yeah,
GCSEs
oh
to
my
A-levels.
god, yes.
If you get started early on, do something small, but do it consistently. And like training, you're not going to get into shape overnight, but if you, for example, you do training, you want to get into really good shape, do intensely for 2 weeks, it's not going to do much benefit. You're better off doing, say, 20-30 minutes a day for, say, 4 or 5 times a week than doing 5 hours in one go, because it's consistent. And what happens is it's rewired into your programming, as part of your routine, and something which is more manageable, you're more likely to kind of see it through and do. I mean, you told me to do 5 hours of revision. First thing I'm to hell with that. So if you say something small,
what we're saying here is your time that you spend revising will have a massive effect on your mindset as well, and going into an exam has a massive effect on your mindset, because no matter how clever you are, you wanna succeed. It doesn't matter which level you're in. You want to go into that exam, you want to make your parents proud, you want to make yourself proud, you want to open doors for yourself. So this time, managing your time revising and taking breaks will also have an effect on your mindset. Have you got anything to say about how your mindset was preparing?
There's so much to say, Junaid, but I mean, just to keep it brief, one of the biggest fears I had as a student, and I see thousands of my students have, is the fear of exams. And it's real, because you've got something which is unknown, but it's also something which is very important in your life. It can open or close doors, to be kind of quite brutally honest.
Yep.
And it's through lack of preparation, I feel, that people have that fear. If you prepare in a way which really emulates and replicates for your exam, psychologically and emotionally, you're going to be in a better place to deal with it, because as part of your training, you're used to it. So, like a boxer does thousands and thousands of hours of sparring, they're just looking forward to getting the actual fight done. The same way with revision. Through practice, in a way you become so desensitized to the fear, because psychologically and mentally you're prepared, and I think that's a big part of it. And that's one of the benefits of following kind of a revision program early, is it kind of diminishes your fear and increases your confidence.
We can't tell you everything about revision. That's why we want you to buy this book. So we'll leave the link in the description below. It's Steps to Exam Success, GCSE to Degree Level. So ranging all the way from GCSE to degree level. Learn powerful techniques to unlock your potential by Tariq Khan, my very good friend. So here's the book. We'd be very happy if you pick it up. Not only that, it's going to change your life, in the sense it's going to improve your education, and education is so intrinsically linked to your lifestyle. It's because what it is, you got to remember this last point I want to say. Education is just not important for your job. It's your values, it's the person you are, it's the way you judge people. Education is so important. I think education is what changes your mindset, and as a human being, it's just so important, because them values are what makes you human. Your expectations, the way you act, the way you treat people. You're watching, please do buy this book. Thank you very much.